Hi, I'm Julia Adolphe, and welcome to LooseLeaf Notebook. Today I want to talk about the anxiety surrounding completing a large-scale work. I just finished my violin concerto for the LA Philharmonic, and as I was nearing the deadline in the last final weeks, I hit a large wall where I really felt this kind of really physical manifestation of my anxiety. And I was really having a hard time getting into the studio to sit down to work on the orchestral climax. I was surprised to hit this creative block because usually starting a piece is the hardest part for me. When you start a piece, there is complete uncertainty and you have no idea what the piece is going to say, how it's going to translate, really what the main ideas are. I mean, it's just the blank piece of paper can be a very intimidating thing. And I have a lot of anxiety about going into an uncertain situation. It doesn't feel safe to me. So I have to do a lot to create that safety in my studio. So I was very surprised when, at the end of this piece, I was nearing the climax. It was very clear to me in terms of form, structure, harmony, melody, what needed to happen to bring the piece to its conclusion. So it wasn't this usual idea of uncertainty that was stopping me from getting into the studio. I've been working with a creative coach. Her name is Sherry Jeffs, and we text every day through this coaching app on my phone. And she has been a tremendous help to me. And she said something that I thought was really important. She said, finishing a piece is the hardest part of the creative process, because you have to accept the imperfections of the work. That really resonated with me, and I thought a lot about what that meant. There is a gap when you create art between your wildest imagination of what the piece could be and how transformative and powerful it can be, and everything you want to say and all the emotions you want to put into your work, and then the reality of the work, which is a piece of art that can't quite capture everything that you had in your heart and in your mind. That is just the reality of creative work. And that's the beauty of creative work, because it's why we keep trying again. We keep trying to create again and again because we never quite say exactly what we wanted to say. And there's always more to add and a different way to look at your ideas and how they exist in the world. I thought about how I had to accept the work for what it is, and how that also meant that I was really letting go of the piece. As much as uncertainty and the unknown trigger my anxiety, I began to realize that letting go is just as anxiety provoking to me. I have to let go of my piece. I have to give it to the LA Philharmonic. I have to give it to Martin, and he's going to take it and it's going to be his now, and the piece is no longer mine. And that is an incredible gift. And so it's strange to talk about that provoking anxiety, but it does. And I became aware of this kind of sadness and almost disappointment of being finished with the work. So I was struggling with two thoughts: this idea that the work, even though I'm proud of it and I love it and I'm excited to hear it, it's not exactly the piece that I imagined, and it's took its own course, and it sort of wrote itself in a way and moved in directions that I didn't anticipate. So I have to accept that, and then I have to accept that I was now just a few weeks from the deadline, and that it is time to just write and not worry, and accept that it would not be perfect, and that whatever I found, failing in the work would be information for my next piece. And that's how you grow as an artist. So once I kind of had that in my head, I was able to go and write the climax. And of course, there's this whole other pressure about the climax of a work being the sort of pinnacle of what you're going to say, and it being, the loudest and the brightest and all of that. And I had to kind of just get it done. And that's one of the beautiful things about a deadline, is you just have to get the work out. And so I wrote, and, afterwards I felt, when I finished, that maybe there was real value to looking at the music that I wrote when I wasn't trying to be a perfectionist? How is that music different? And is that music actually more authentically me because it is the music that comes out when I'm not censoring myself and I'm not scrutinizing as much and I'm just trying to get everything out? The music that came out towards this end of the piece is quite different than the beginning of the piece. And so that's something that I'm excited to explore more. Is there sort of an unfiltered, more direct version of my sound that comes out when I'm not trying to make things perfect, which of course is not possible. And that is why we keep creating art, because we are trying to create an ideal sound that we hear in our head, and we never will get it exactly right. So I'm curious to hear any questions or comments, similar experiences or vastly different experiences about completing a large-scale work and the anxiety around that process. Thanks for listening.